Our first lesson is from the book of Genesis, concerning the story of Noah and his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, after the Lord had brought Noah to dry land, and they began to live on the dry land after the ark, it says Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. A vineyard is a large area where vines grow, and on the vines are grapes. And he drank the wine that the grapes make, and was drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. Now Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his brothers outside. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it upon their shoulders, and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. And Noah then awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. He said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem. Amen." Perhaps you've heard about people that become drunk, and drunkenness or being under the influence of alcohol or other drugs is a very dangerous thing. A lot of harm can come from it. People can make big mistakes. People can make mistakes no matter what. But what happened with Noah is he drank too much wine, and he just fell asleep in his tent, and he wasn't dressed. And it said that his youngest son came outside to tell on his dad. The two younger sons, it said, took a garment. I'll try to show what they did, although I only have one person myself to do it. But it said that they took a garment, my back is toward you on purpose, and they laid it across their shoulders, and they walked backwards. So they weren't staring at their father, and they laid the garment down on top of him to cover him. What does this story mean? Well, it's a good lesson to tell us not to become so to use alcohol or drugs in a way that will bring us danger. To become drunk is an evil thing, we're told in the Word, in many different places. But when people do make mistakes and people do things that are wrong, and we all do you sometimes like to point out other people's faults? Do you like to look and say, "Oh my goodness, you did that. That's terrible. You shouldn't do that. You better fix what you did. You better not make any more mistakes." This is a story about one person who did that. His name was Ham. And then the two other sons, Shem and Japheth, they're the ones that they knew that their father had done something wrong, but they simply walked backwards and covered him over with a garment. They didn't make a big deal out of it. And when it said Noah woke up, he knew what had happened. He found out what had happened. And he blessed Shem and Japheth. And he said, "It is good to dwell in the tents of Shem." What would that mean? Dwelling in the tents of Shem. Everybody lived in tents back then. Well, not everybody, but these people did. And to dwell in the tents of Shem means to have that kind of an attitude when other people make mistakes. That you don't point out and focus on their mistakes. You cover without having to look and make a big deal. And it's hard not to sometimes stare at people when they make mistakes. And lots of times people like to make fun of people who have had too much to drink or are drunk. Not a good thing to do. So this story is about trying not to focus on other people's faults or mistakes, their evils, and learning how to be forgiving. That doesn't mean you tolerate everything. Everything's fine, everything's great. No, things can be bad, and you sometimes have to just look and go, I don't want to be part of that, and I don't want that happening anymore. But in this story, the two sons who we focus on, Shem and Japheth, they're the ones who said, we're not going to focus on the fact that our father made a big mistake. We're just going to simply cover and have forgiveness. And that's a good lesson for us to have. When we see that other people have done something wrong, just try to be forgiving. And it's hard, I know. I came home from a trip and I found a tree. My neighbor's tree had fallen right on top of my car. And the first thing I wanted to do was get really mad. At who? The wind from a storm blew the tree on top of my car. Well, maybe I should blame the neighbor. Maybe I should blame the Lord for sending this thunderstorm. Maybe I should blame my wife for parking the car in the wrong spot. Maybe I should blame, you know what? This lesson is a good lesson for me too, like everyone. Wow. Just realize and accept bad things happen. It's not necessarily anybody's fault. And don't go looking for trouble. Don't go looking for whose fault something is. Carry on with life. Be dwelling in the tents of Shem, to be forgiving, to be loving, and to realize we all make mistakes. May other people forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them theirs. Amen.